Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to be going over the top 3 telecom stocks that I am watching in 2018. And I'll just be going over why I'm watching them and why I think it's important to watch them. And if you're new to my channel, I make videos on the stock market and investing, so if you're interested in that, consider subscribing and let's get right into the video. So the first stock in the telecom sector that I'm watching in 2018 is AT&T, and they are a $233 billion company, and they have a telecom segment as well as they're a media company and they have a cable provider, so they're pretty integrated in that sense. And so I'm watching first to see what happens with DirecTV. They have been having a lot of cord cutting and the churn in DirecTV has been higher recently because a lot of people are ending their cable service. And so they have DirecTV Now, which has been gaining subscribers. And so that is starting to help offset their losses from their traditional DirecTV service. And so I'm watching what happens with that, as well as I'm watching what happens with bundling. They are working on bundling cable with internet and with other services that they provide, which reduces the churn significantly. So I'm going to see what effect that has, as well as what effect DirecTV Now has on the DirecTV subscriber losses. And then I'm also looking at how iWatches now having cellular connectivity affects AT&T, because I'm assuming a lot of people who have bought the new iWatches that have the ability to use cellular networks will be needing a telecom to connect those, and so I'm assuming they'll be using AT&T and Verizon or some of the other telecoms, and I could see that being very beneficial for AT&T, so I'm watching that as well. And I'm also looking at how the tax cuts are going to help them because they have a pretty high effective tax rate, as well as how the repeal of net neutrality is going to affect them. So those are two of the political things that I'm watching with them. And then I guess the Time Warner acquisition is another political thing because the Department of Justice announced that they are going to be challenging the Time Warner acquisition. So I'm watching to see whether or not that goes through. I think AT&T will be fine if it does go through or if it doesn't go through. But I'm hoping that they don't need to spend a lot of money on legal to fight the Department of Justice because that is really just wasted money. And then the final thing that I'm watching with AT&T is their expansion into Mexico. And so they are currently working on rolling out cellular in Mexico, and that has been a major growth area for them. But they're having to compete with a lot of the telecoms in Mexico, which is going to be a challenge for them. So I'm watching to see how that does. And I think that all of the things that I just mentioned are reasons to watch AT&T stock in 2018. So then the second telecom stock that I'm watching in 2018 is Verizon. The symbol for them is VZ, and they are a $214 billion company. The reason I'm watching them is because they recently purchased AOL and Yahoo, so I'm looking at how their purchase of those media companies, as well as the fact that they will probably be looking to expand their media segment even more, affects the company. I think that'll be interesting to watch. The acquisitions of AOL and Yahoo are sort of questionable because they are two companies that are sort of out of their prime, and so I'm hoping that Verizon can sort of revitalize those companies and make them do better, but it will be a very important thing to watch for Verizon, what happens with AOL and Yahoo. And then I'm also monitoring Verizon's debt because they do have a pretty high debt load, as well as looking at how iWatches similar to AT&T will affect them, as well as watching tax cuts and the net neutrality repeal. I think all of those will have an effect on Verizon, which will be important to look at in 2018. So then the final telecom stock that I'm watching in 2018 is CenturyLink. The symbol for them is CTL, and I am watching them for a lot of the same reasons that I'm watching AT&T and Verizon. The repeal of net neutrality is another big one. I'm not sure exactly what effect that will have on telecoms, but I think that will be an important thing to watch, which is why I am watching a lot of telecoms right now. And so CenturyLink is an $18 billion company, and they currently have a 13% dividend and pretty high debt levels, so I'm watching to see if they can sustain their dividend and monitoring how their debt payback goes. And they also are merging with Level 3 Communications, so I'm watching to see how that merger goes. So all of that makes CenturyLink worth watching. So those are the 3 telecom stocks that I am watching in 2018. I would love to know what stocks you guys are watching in 2018. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like down below and consider subscribing.